Hello and welcome back. I am Dr. Lori Williams. Today's video or podcast, depending on what platform you are listening or watching this from, is going to be a little bit different this time. So I have had quite a few questions regarding the holistic counseling sessions that I offer. So I wanted to provide information and help to answer any questions that you may have if, just in case you're trying to decide whether or not you want to enroll in one of my holistic counseling sessions. So the first question is, what is holistic counseling and how is it different than traditional counseling? So essentially, how I'm only going to speak from my own perception on it. I do have a PhD. It is a non-medical PhD. Therefore, I am not a psychologist. I'm not a psychotherapist. I'm not a social worker. I'm none of those things. What I am is I am a spiritual leader. I'm a minister in spirituality. I have my PhD is in metaphysical sciences, the same as my ministry is under metaphysical sciences as well. So that being said, it's a very different approach to mental and emotional health from traditional counseling. I personally am focused on the holistic aspect, which is the whole person. So this is mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, socially, all of the things go into working with a person as a whole. So I don't fragment it. If you come to me with mental health issues, I'm still looking at, the emotional, the social, the physical. I'm looking at all of those things, even though you're only visiting me because of mental health issues. The mental health issues don't start at mental health issues. So we have to come back to the root cause. And that is another thing that I'm very focused on, is finding the root cause of the issue for each individual client and helping them to heal themselves there. I do not guarantee healing, because essentially it's the client has to do the work. I'm just showing them the path. I'm paving the way for them and giving them the tools that they need in order to do that. However, if they don't do the work, they're not going to get the results. It really is quite that that simple. So it's different. Holistic counseling is different from traditional counseling because a lot of traditional counseling, and I'm just taking this from clients that have had these sessions with me, they're more focused on coping mechanisms. And my clients have gotten to a point where they don't want to cope anymore. Coping is not helping. They find that it's not effective for them. And I actually prefer to look at what I do as a holistic counselor, as I call it untherapy. So I'm not a therapist. I don't offer therapy. I offer what comes after therapy, or if therapy is just no longer something that you're not finding it as effective as maybe you once did, or maybe you've just been doing it for a lot of years and you've come into the realization that, hey, if this was actually helping me, maybe I would have not needed them by now. So essentially that's my take on the difference between holistic and traditional counseling. The next question is, how do you assess each client's needs? So this goes through, I offer a free consultation, no obligation consultation. It's a half an hour call where we set up a day and time that works for both of us. And then we can sit down and we can talk about what the client's needs are. I always call the list that we make this list together so that it's very, very clear on the path that we're going to be taking as I walk the client through their healing process. So when we sit down and have this conversation, I call it the running list, because as we're going through the process of the holistic counseling sessions, usually after about 3 or 4 sessions, you start to see different things coming up in the sessions that maybe didn't come up in the first time, because the client wasn't necessarily aware of, the fact that they are a people pleaser because they had to be emotionally supportive of one or both of their parents, just something like that, for an example. So that's going to come up, and that will be added to the list as a secondary, not really a secondary, but as like a separate issue, so that we can look at that and to see what other patterns and habits may be attached to that single experience that they had in childhood as well. So there is no necessarily like one size fits all. Everyone that comes to see me, every client that comes to see me is very much very unique, and their needs are met in a very unique kind of way. And their path is very unique as well. And I honor all of those things with each one of my clients. The next question is, what modalities are most often used? So again, every client has their own unique needs, and I don't really have a long list of things that I use guaranteed for every client, because I mean, there's so many different possibilities and modalities that I personally have at my own disposal, but not every client is going to necessarily align with those modalities. So this very short list I'm about to give you is just the few things that tend to go, across the board for every client. One of them is definitely paying attention to their dreams, and if they dream, if I want them to pay attention to it. Having a journal or something to be able to write down to get things out of your head. And meditation would definitely be probably the three things that I encourage all of my clients to do. Now, not all of them do it and they still have success. But those are pretty much the only three things that across the board I will mention to every client. The others are the other modalities that I would use, like sound healing, being able to go back in, like reframing, changing your perspective, all those kinds of things would definitely be for each individual as they needed it. Next question is, how long are the sessions? So each session with me is 50 minutes long, and they are typically recorded because there's a lot of information that is given in one of these sessions. And if you have a replay after you've had a session with me, once you've had time to process and allow things to kind of calm down a bit, you can go back and watch the replay, just in case there's any, like homework or anything like that you have missed. Just because, let's be honest, talking about emotional things, our mind can definitely be turned more to focus on those emotional aspects that we're dealing with, rather than the rest of the conversation that's going on. So I definitely prefer to have the sessions recorded, but they are each 50 minutes long. And last but certainly not least is, how do you promise confidentiality? So confidentiality is like super, super important to me. My computer with any information on it is locked when I'm not in the room. I also have a filing cabinet under lock and key, and actually my office is under lock and key. Probably the best thing that I do to guarantee confidentiality is that I don't use anybody's names. I may use a variation of their name, but it's not actually their name. I give everybody a fake name, an alias, while they're working with me. So even if somebody was to come in into my office space and read all the information that I have, there is no possible way that they're going to figure out who the person is. This could actually be their mother, their brother, their father, their uncle, their cousin, their best friend. Who knows? And I guarantee they're still not going to be able to know who it is. So that is how I'm very active with ensuring that I have that my clients have confidentiality across the board. If you have any questions around holistic counseling, or if you even want to just set up a session with me, please feel free to reach out to me. These sessions are very, very powerful. Usually within about 6, depending on where you're at, usually within about 6 to 12 sessions. Most people don't actually even need to have weekly sessions with me anymore. After 12 weeks, they typically have the information and the tools that they need to be able to continue doing this on their own, and they may only need like maybe bi-weekly or monthly check-ins with me. So holistic counseling is definitely very, very effective. And like I said, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'll see you back here next time.